Hey, what's up guys? How are you doing? I haven't posted a video in a while because I've been playing Hero Siege in a full juicy mode, Blood Pact, which is basically a cheat mode, so I didn't see the point of making a build guide. As for this build, you might be wondering what's the point of going Shadow Flurry when you can just use the physical version and push Pit to make your PP grow a few inches bigger. Well, the answer is pretty simple, you see. For me, pit pushing is the most boring thing you can do in this game. It was hella boring in Diablo 3, and it still is in Diablo 4. I don't see the point of getting trillions of DPS and still taking a minute to kill a pack of elites. So, since I don't care about pit pushing, I can play pretty much everything. I'm not hard meta locked, therefore, Shadow Flurry. Now, compared to the pure Fizz version, mine has less DPS of course, but a better AoE. And that's what it's all about. We have so many AoE going on. Our Flurry, our Clone Flurry, the Grasp of Shadows Clones Flurry, the proc from Assassin's Stride, the Shadow Imbuement, the Shadow Imbuement Ice proc aspect, and finally the Victimize AoE. So that's where I get my fun. So let me quickly go over the few mechanics in the build. First one is getting a mobility tag on Flurry. We get that by speccing into improved Flurry. If I remove it, you can see I lose the mobility tag. If I put it in, I get the mobility tag. Now this mobility tag let us use these boots, Assassin's Stride, which have a bug involved in them, which I will showcase at the end of the video. But as for the purpose of this build, they are not bugged, so it's fine. Now, the fact that we are using these and getting permanent shadow imbuement on our flurry means that we can use some aspect like this one, which will generate an additional AoE of cold, which freeze and shield enemy, and it's a way of getting even more control and enabling some more damage, like with frigid finesses. And since we have always Shadow Imbue, then we can use this passive, which give us another additional chance to stun, which will then enable stuff like trick attacks, right? So it's just a way for us to stack on more damage, like I said before, it's just stacking more multiplayer. Now the second mechanic would be the use of Death Mask. This will make Flurry cost HP, which if you've seen any Fizz Flurry video, you know how that works, right? And that enables the Chaos Burst, because we basically negate the downside of these huge multipliers, right? So getting these two together thanks to the mask is very meaningful. It gets us some more multiplayer and stack a lot more damage, right? And finally, the last mechanic would be the use of Victimize instead of going for Momentum, which gives us more AoE, but also let us use this passive that will generate a lot of shield for us, which will also enable this aspect, which is another multiplayer, right? One more thing that is very important to understand is why are we using preparation. Well, first of all, we are not using any combo point, right? So using this would be completely useless. Now the second one is Inner Sight. If we get that one, we can get additional kitchens, but we also get full on energy, which means we won't be using life, because if we have energy, then we use energy, and the passive from Death Mask only works when we don't have energy. So if we are using Inner Sight, then this won't proc, so Flurry won't cost HP, so we lose the multiplier from this helmet. And we also use the multiplier from the amulet, which makes our skill that consume HP deal additional damage. So, well, if we get Inner Sight, we lose a lot of damage. So we are not using Inner Sight. And so the only solution is to use preparation. It's actually used by default, right? Because we don't spend energy to reduce the ultimate cooldown, so that doesn't happen at all. It happens once in a blue moon when you reset your downside from the chaos perk, right? You're gonna be able to use a little bit of energy here and there, and after a minute or two, you can have a proc of 5 second cooldown reduction. But otherwise, it just never happened. You also just get the damage reduction basically. That's just the only reason or uses that you're gonna get out of preparation. Now, you might be thinking that since we are using a Beast Corner in conjunction with Mare Guard, and that on top of that we have a Death Mask that consumes a large amount of HP, then our survivability is not good, right? But you'll be wrong, because, well, Siphoning Strikes keeps our HP up, and the Victimized proc with the Barrier gets us basically always capped to the maximum of our barrier capacity. And that makes us very tanky because with the Mare Guard we have enough armor and enough resistance to be very tanky, and the barrier refreshment that we get from this proc is more than enough to keep us alive against pretty much everything, right? So yeah, the tankiness is really high. It doesn't look like it, but it is. Now, of course, this build can be upgraded with mythic item and chaos armor, but I don't think that's necessary unless you want to go and push Pete very far. As far as the mythic goes, as you can see, mine are not even masterworked. I don't feel the need for it, so now they're just collecting dust in my inventory. But if you wanted to, you could use these two, the Air of Perdition and the Shroud of False Death. So I'm gonna do a lot of work for you. And then it's just a matter of replacing the Death Mask by a Chaos Armor. So if you can get them on the glove, then the glove need to be replaced and put on the leg. And if you cannot find them on the glove and have them on the leg, then the glove can stay with the original version, right? Now, if you don't have the mythic item, you also can use the Chaos Armor. Like, for example, I sneaked in the Fist of Fate as the helmet, and to replace the helmet, I put it in as a chest. The only thing is that you're gonna need to replace the aspect to generate a barrier or to generate the Dark Shroud. So for that, there's two Rune Wurm. For the Dark Shroud, you can use AU and Moth, or Lith and Moth. I have a small preference for AU. I think it's a little bit better because it has no cooldown and it's every time you hit an enemy, so when there is a big area and a lot of monster, you can generate a lot of it, right? Lead is maybe a little bit better on single target because, well, as long as the target is healthy, you won't generate anything. But if you have enough damage, then the AI is gonna be running pretty fast. And since you have more than one hit per cast, if you are lucky, then the leads become worse. So I have a small preference for AU because it's way better on clearing, and it can be just as good on a single target and maybe even better. So this is my favorite one, but this one also works. And for the barrier, I just use Seer and then K or Q, that doesn't matter. I use this one to replace the barrier. And that's about it. That's the two Rune Wurm that can come and fix in the missing aspect. So you can play with Chaos Armor depending on what you get. The only thing is, I don't think Assassin's Stride exists as a Chaos Armor. I haven't checked, but I've never seen it in any pieces. So there's that. I'm probably gonna have to stay the boots as they are. And then you only have two spaces to work with if you want to go for mythic item. If you don't, then you have 4 spaces to play with, and then you can sneak in Fist of Fate. And I think that's gonna cover it. Now let me show you the bug that I was talking about earlier. These boots are preventing us from getting momentum stacks. So if I take it, remove Victimize and take momentum, as you can see, I'm still using Flurry with the Cutthroat tag. Then I don't get any momentum stacks. And that is, I don't know why, but these boots make it so mobility skills lose their Cutthroat tag. As for the game,
they are not cutthroat anymore. So it's not only flurry, right? If I use a shadow steps, it's the same thing. If I use dash, which is also a cutthroat but a mobility, then it's the same thing. Now, if I use shadow clone, which is a cutthroat but not a mobility, then I'm getting the momentum tag, right? Now, if I remove the boots, there's no issue. I can get my momentum tag from flurry or any other cutthroat skill. But the fact that I'm getting these boots prevent the mobility from getting momentum. So that's the bug that is using the coming from these boots. But since I'm not using momentum because I want the AoE from Victimize, it's so much more fun, and it's also giving me a lot of tankiness via these aspects, then I don't really mind. But if you wanted to get momentum instead, and you're going for Shadow AoE with the freeze and everything that comes out of Assassin's Side and still use momentum, then you cannot, right? I'm just warning you in case you thought of doing that. Alright, that's gonna be it. Have fun, guys, and see you in the next one.